Okay, I've got parts of the Blu-ray drive apart again. This is the part that takes the disc in. There are two arms that pivot when you put the disc in, and that makes the disc, it makes the disc right along these little rubber pieces with gears on them. And the reason your disc is drawn in is because this thing is actually powered. There's a gear train on each of these arms. So it's pretty easy to take apart and put back together. Don't worry too much if you've moved these out a little too much, and then the parts that actually make it pivot on the bottom of this snap out of place. They're easy to put back in, as are these three gears on each arm. They're all the same size. It's just that what you got to remember, what you got to keep in mind is that's the bottom side and this is the top side of the gear. So you want to install the gears with this side up. And they're easy. They're real easy to put in. You just put them on the little shafts that are built into each arm. Make sure that all the gears mesh like this, and put one in the middle. And then to test your work, just turn one of the little wheels and make sure the whole gear train turns. Easy peasy. Now, to put this thing back together, I'll show you that. You just start with one side, and it's really easy to put back in. Just make sure that it does not bind. It moves freely like this, because you can see all the white tabs here. There's a white tab here, and then there's another white tab right by my finger here. That should be up above the plastic, and then of course you can just let it go and it'll stay. Now, to connect the arm in the back, that's easy. You just push it out until it's almost all the way to the end, and then you just made it like that. See? Like that. And there you go. You have one side on. Now to do the other side. Now this is probably the hardest part right here, and my big Donkey Kong hands are in the way. Yeah, that's the trouble with this thing. You got to make sure that both sides stay on. You don't want to push the side that you're trying to hook up out too much, because it'll just fall apart. And then there you go, right there. See? While I was blabbing, it just goes in like that. And there you go. Do a test. Make sure they spread out like this when you move one side. Make sure the gear trains still turn like this and like this. Make sure that they turn freely, they do not bind. You can't really screw that up. So you got this part put back together. Now you got to put these little gray pieces back on the top, right here and right here. So you get a spring. I'm not sure how well any of this is going to show up on the camera, but I'll try to explain it the best I can. There we go. Yeah, I don't think that's going to show up. What we got here, anyway, you got this tiny spring. Looks just like that. I'm pretty sure you can't see that on camera. Maybe you'll be able to. Maybe when I get this thing into iMovie and actually edit it, it'll turn out better than it is in the viewfinder. But that's how it's supposed to go. There's a little pocket underneath here, right. Let me get that back in the frame. Right where my screwdriver blade is, where this square side of the spring goes in, and it goes the same way on the other side. To put these gray guides on, you just put them into place like that and move it towards the inside. And then hold it there. And then dig your spring out from underneath. Oops. It takes a little bit of doing. What I'm trying to do is put the spring over the small catch on the gray guide. There we go. It's a little hard to see, but right where the edge of my screwdriver is where you want to put that long part of the spring. Right over this there's a little nipple here that you put that spring on, and then there you go. You test it to see if it springs back, and then repeat for the other side. And there's the right hand side. And of course, you just put this whole assembly in the Blu-ray drive, just like I explained in my other videos. And hopefully that helps with these gray guides and with the gear train underneath. If these white arms pop off on you, it's likely that the gear train inside is just going to spill all over because they're just held in. And so that's no worries. You just put the little gray gears back on. They're all the same size, either side. So if both sides just pop off and gears go everywhere, you won't need to be worried about mixing and matching sides. And hopefully that clears a few things up.